Hello, my name is Lauren and I am one of the lead gardeners here at Bachman's, and today we are going to talk about planting spring bulbs. So although it has spring in the name, it's actually something that we plant in the fall. And we do that because the soil temperatures are starting to get a little cooler around that 55-degree mark that the bulbs really like. So some spring bulbs include daffodils and tulips and crocus, just to name a few. Tulips are near and dear to my heart, I think, because the winters get so long here in Minnesota, so it's really nice to see that pop of color right away in the spring and get you excited about the season to come. So I think that tulips are probably something that a lot of people can have a connection to. It's one of those first plants or flowers that people are able to identify. And I think taking that effort and time to plan, purchasing your bulbs or hiring Bachman's to do that for you is something that you will really appreciate come springtime. So here we have, I'm going to demonstrate. This is more or less of a mass planting. Here we have our tulips. So to get started with your planting, you are going to want to prepare your space. And that would entail pulling any annuals you might have there or cutting back maybe some perennials that you have, and cultivating this soil, digging it up either by a shovel or by hand. A rototiller is really nice to really get that soil nice and fluffy. If you have more of a compact soil or it's more clay content there, it's really nice to amend that soil with maybe some peat moss or some compost to just add some more organic matter in there and get it nice and light and fluffy. It just really makes it much less work for yourself. So definitely take the time to prepare that. Also, while you are amending your soil, you might want to consider adding fertilizer at that point. So, just a preference for you if you'd like. So tulips, I think, are super cute. They always remind me of little Hershey Kisses. And that is the way that you want to plant them also. This flat spot is the bottom. This is where the roots will come out of. And so you want that obviously on the, this pointed, the Hershey Kiss side, the point side up, so the roots are growing down. One tip to kind of keep in mind as you are moving forward with planting your bulbs is planting depth. And it's kind of like a rule of thumb. They say to plant it 3 times as deep as the bulb is big. So this one is like, I don't know, we can say 2 inches for tulip bulbs that they're that large. So you want to plant at least 6 inches deep. And for a smaller bulb like a crocus, that maybe only needs to go 3 or 4 inches deep. So it really depends on the bulb size, and oftentimes your bags will also tell you how deep to plant them. If, for example, today I have tulip bulbs in front of me and a trowel, this is a method that I'm using today for this planting. I personally like to, not think about it too much, shove that trowel in the ground. An average trowel size is roughly 6 inches. So I just put that all the way in, dig the soil back, plop it down. Easy peasy. So, but one other thing that you want to keep in mind or practice is adding fertilizer or repellents to that hole that you're digging out. So, and that's sometimes also why I like to, if you're going to till it in there, it's nice to add that fertilizer in that way too. It's just easy, done deal. You don't have to take a bunch of time to dig all this out. you know. And then when your bulbs are planted super close together, because we like to have a nice full big flush of blooms, that just mass of color. This way when you do it all, you know, like hole by hole, they're falling into each other, whatever, it's okay. So we have our hole now that's 6 inches. And one important thing to do is to add fertilizer. And specifically for bulbs, we want to have a fertilizer that's higher in phosphorus, because our bulbs need that element to help root development. And so you're looking for something with a higher phosphorus rate. For example, this NPK is 353. You also, as far as fertilizing recommendations, it will really depend on what brand you're using or what type of fertilizer. So definitely look at the manufacturing recommendations as far as that goes. I am going to put just like a little teaspoon in here, or a little trowel full in this hole. So you want to put fertilizer in the hole that's making contact with the bulb and where the roots are going to be coming out, because phosphorus is an immobile nutrient in the soil. So it's very important to make sure that it is in contact or very close to where these roots will be developing. So you have your fertilizer in the hole. Another thing that you might want to do if rodents or rabbits or deer are a problem in your area, which a lot of people have, is sprinkling some kind of animal repellent. This is a granular. We're using Repellent. There are many different kinds. This is a deer and rabbit repellent, also granular. This is an organic repellent. And then this is also a systemic animal repellent, which means it is taken up through the plant. So I'm sure you have many choices there. So our hole is prepped with fertilizer and Repellent. We will plant our bulb in there now. Again, the like Hershey Kiss shape, just right in there like that, all nestled in. And also at this point, if you want to put some compost on top of there, you certainly can. If you're feeling that your soil is lacking in nutrients or just want to add that organic matter, certainly feel free to add compost at that point. Then just cover it back up. So that is, you know, a very right way to do it with your fertilizer and your repellent. Otherwise, again, like I said, if you just want to like rough and rowdy it, go to town on getting a lot of bulbs in, that's also an option for you. At this point, with our bulbs being planted, now you can add repellent again to the top. That's not a bad idea ever. But we also want to put our mulch back on top of that, or if you have any straw at this point would be a good time to do that. So they recommend kind of patting your soil down here before you put all that back on top. And I think that's especially important if you don't have your mulch and you're just putting straw down, so that when you're taking it off in the fall, in the spring, it's not getting all mixed up into your soil, that other straw, and it just makes it real easy to pitchfork it off once that ground is kind of still frozen. Also, I like to wait until the ground is a little more frozen to add that straw in there, just in case maybe you have some seeds in whatever kind of mulch you're using, and just to make sure that it's not starting to get all mixed around together. So it's perfectly fine to wait till your ground is frozen to lay that mulch back on top. And the reason why we add mulch is, one, to help protect against fluctuating temperatures in our soil. You know, everyone knows our nice warm winter days, and that sometimes confuses the plants when it starts feeling a little bit warm, and then a week later we have freezing temperatures again. So putting that layer of mulch on top will help maintain a consistent and constant temperature. It also helps maintain the moisture that's in the soil. So that's definitely a step that you don't want to miss, and it will help you have nice, big, beautiful blooms come springtime. Also, so mulch, bulbs are in. You also want to water the bulbs once they're in and just help get any of those air pockets out and get them all nice and settled in for the winter. Also in spring, when you start seeing them popping out, and if you notice that the soil is dry or it's just been a dry spring, put some water on them, and so that those roots can really start taking off. That will be very helpful for you guys. So here we have two kind of different methods that I'm going to talk about and show you. Here we are doing little bouquet pockets. So as we're walking along this sidewalk, we have cute little bouquets greeting us on the way. There's one over here and then two here. We have our hole pre-dug, which is a method that a lot of people like to use, just getting your hole space dug out. You can see where you're putting your bulbs, all of them at one time. Get your fertilizer in the hole, get your Repellol or whatever repellent you're choosing to use. This is a daffodil. So, and then just laying them all out so you can see them. The daffodil bulb, maybe you can tell, is a little bit larger than the tulip. So again, 3 times the size at least. You'll want to be that deep. The deeper, the better, I guess, with the bulbs, because it, again, helps protect it from those fluctuating temperatures, as well as just help give that plant a really strong stem that holds the flower nice and stands nice and tall for you. Probably especially important if it's kind of like a partly shady area that's not getting as much sun. That would be very helpful too. For this bouquet, we are just planting daffodils, but a fun idea is to get a couple different maybe species in there. We have daffodils or tulips or little squills that will bloom for you at different times, having an early, mid, or late kind of bulb that keeps popping up for you maybe for a couple of weeks instead of having them all bloom at once and then they're over. So that's kind of up to you and what you're looking for at your home. So the bulbs are in, fertilizer, repellent. Again, if you want to add that compost, certainly feel free to do that if your soil is asking or needing that. Otherwise, at this point, we are just filling in that hole now. Again, we'll want to make sure that we are watering these in later. Another thing I forgot to mention, or haven't mentioned yet, is that if animals are a big problem for you, squirrels, for example, coming in and digging out your bulbs, a lot of people have frustrations about that. One technique people like to use is to just lay down a little sheet of chicken wire on top, and that will prevent the animals from being able to dig down and eat your bulbs. So that's something that you can use. Again, with the mulch, this is a good example. Put that back down nicely. You can add straw on top of that too if you would like. Just how many measures you want to take to ensure a nice, big, beautiful bloom in the spring. And then behind us here, this is if you have an area or a bed, a garden that you really just want to go to town on with tulips, with all different varieties. I like to use this method where you just stake out a plot, add a piece of string across here, and that really maps out and divides the spaces so you get a good visual of where you are doing your planting. Here we have 4 different kinds of well, 2 different kinds of bulbs, 1 daffodil and then 3 different tulips. So, and you can do a really fun design here. This is just kind of a basic square plot, but people have, you know, an argyle pattern, for example, or making like a sun with the circle and the rays. So you can have as much fun with that as you want. Again, tilling a space out like that will just save you so much headache, and you know, just help your body too. It's just much easier to work with a loosened up soil. So that's a very cute way to do it. And today I showed you 2 examples, one single, like 1 by 1 with the trowel. That's kind of the quick way to do it and get it down. Digging the hole out completely is a nice way to ensure that they're all, you can see them all laid out at one time. That's really nice. Another method that I've seen people use is by using like a drill, like an auger, and that's especially helpful when your soil is really compact. Or if you have kind of, you know, wrist problems that is preventing you from doing that 1 by 1, a drill works as well. So I think that is, you know, bulb planting 101 for you guys. And if you have any questions or want that impact and that color but don't want to do the work, then certainly call our garden maintenance team and we would be happy to come out and help you guys. So thank you.